My quill. I also had my drawing on here on my feather, and I scribed through with the scribe to make sure that when I did my soldering, and that's when you do your soldering, is when you're drawing, if you just do it in the Sharpie pen, it's going to disappear. So I redrew it here, but this just came out of the pickle last week. And if I scrub away the Sharpie pen marks, real clear to see, there's my scribe line. That's the scribe line that I scribed through the Sharpie pen that was initially there last week. All right, so I soldered my quill that had been modified onto my piece of sheet metal.
Did you use easy, medium, or?
Use medium. Very seldom do we start with easy solder.
So we kind of, same way as you did the pendant, right? On the bottom, and float it down? Or did you kind of
No, this one I can just put along here because I'm not worried about solder scars. Any solder scars that remain are all going to get covered up by the subsequent layers.
Okay.
So this area down here is all going to be inlaid. Both these areas up here against the quill are going to all have, this piece is going to have entire shape covered with 18 gauge. This side up here is going to have partially covered with 18 gauge because that little mountain stairway to heaven thing is going to be up on here. This way it's going to be completely covered over with that whole onlay piece. And then this is all going to be inlay down here. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create my inlay walls. The side walls for my inlay are going to be right here. This section, allowed to draw in money?
Not really, but you know, be a rebel.
This section right here, these two areas here, I'm going to make the little perimeter barrier for my inlay out of 14 gauge round wire that I'm going to roll. Same as we took this. This is 12 gauge round wire. We ran it through the rolling mill to make it narrower than it was tall. So it grew in height a little bit. So we're about almost 2 millimeters tall and about 1.6 millimeters wide, the equivalent of 14 gauge. So now I'm going to take 14, which is 1.6 millimeters, and I'm going to roll it through the rolling mill. I'm going to make it to where it's about 18 gauge, 1 millimeter wide, and it's going to get about 2 millimeters tall also. So it's going to be close to this same height right here. And then I make these two little shapes, and then I'm going to solder those on. So that's going to create, so this will be about a millimeter thick, little sidewall like this that'll be about a millimeter thick, creating that little perimeter in here for my different little inlay shapes, depending on what I choose to do inlay as far as the shape of my turquoise, or if I'm going to do turquoise or sugilite or lapis, or a combination of turquoise, sugilite, and lapis.